Hello, everyone. My name is Tomaris, and we continue our seminars of work within Elan. Now, as you know how to import and export data, add audio and video to transcribe the data, it's time to move to a more complex and higher level work here in Elan. We start working with tiers. What is a tier basically? Tier is just a row on which you transcribe. This is your main working space in annotation mode. You add, combine, and delete tiers. You can see all the work you can do with them here. If you imported a template, you might already have different tiers like this. But initially, if you have only sound, you may have only one or even 0 tiers. In this case, we have 1. Now, you may want to add all the different tiers for all the transcription types: transcription itself, phonetic, phonemic, glossing, translation to several languages. Now I will show you how to create your own personalized tiers. Tiers divide into several stereotypes: time subdivision, included in, symbolic subdivision, symbolic association, and none. What is the difference between these types? Let me explain it to you. Let's talk about the only independent tier we have. We call it none. The annotation on this tier is linked directly to time axis. By this, I mean that annotation is entered directly on this independent tier. Two annotations cannot overlap. You cannot create new one on already existing. Tiers of this type are the only independent tiers we have. They cannot have parent tier, but other tiers have this one as a parent tier. Time subdivision. The annotation of this parent field can be subdivided into smaller units. For example, here I have written "how are you" in our main annotation. Now I want to divide each of the annotations into smaller ones. I can do this simply by choosing the time period. For example, on the main annotation, I have the full unit, but now I want to divide it into smallers. And I can just divide it into smaller. Note that there are no time gaps allowed inside. So we have smaller units that immediately follow each others. They are dependent tiers. It means that they have parent, which is none in our case. Symbolic subdivision is similar to time subdivision, except that the smaller units cannot be linked to time, like in time subdivision, where smaller units are attached to time. They small just a chain of ordered sequence of these small units. Let's look at the difference. Here, the smaller units are attached to time periods, but in symbolic subdivision, they are attached to the whole part, not small time units. That is the difference between them. Included in is the fourth type of tier type. All notations on these tiers are also linked to time period and are enclosed within the limits, within the boundaries of the parent tier. We have chosen none as a parent tier, so we cannot create annotation somewhere here. We can only create them within the annotations border we have established in parent tier. However, there can be gaps within the child annotations, unlike time and symbolic subdivision. Tiers are also dependent. In our case, we have a parent tier, none. The last type is symbolic association. The annotation on this tier cannot be subdivided further. So there is one-to-one correspondence between our parent annotation and our referring. So in our case, this is a symbolic, which is referring, and we just continue typing here. We cannot subdivide them further. They also have parent tier, which is none in our case, and they are dependent. Different tier types can be successfully used for different purposes. Here we have a lot of symbolic associations because it's easier to correspond it to the parent tier. Now as know what tier stereotypes there are, let's apply them to our transcription. On upper menu, choose type, add a new tier type. Now we can customize our own types. Let's call the first one speech. This is the name of an independent tier we're about to create. We choose stereotype none because it is the only independent type. Then we just press the button add and we have an independent tier. We can use it later for creation of a tier because now it's only a tier type. Now the question arises, why do we need all these different tier types? All these stereotypes. Why not to use, for example, none for everything? There are two reasons for that. Reason number one is that each transcription type might need different qualities for your work. Therefore, tiers have different qualities, as I have just explained earlier. To apply different qualities to different tiers, you need different types, right? Otherwise, the tiers will not be interconnected and won't work as you planned. Reason number two, as we are working with a massive data amount, it's important to have everything organized well. If the tier types are messy, the future transcription will also be messy, and it will not allow to use Elan at its maximum. Therefore, creating specific tier types with different tier stereotypes is essential. Today we've learned to create tier types and choose which stereotypes to apply. However, we have not created the tier itself, as you can see. I will demonstrate it to you on our next seminar video, which will be called How to Create and Edit Tiers. I, Tomiris, thank you for your attention. See you in next video.